Hey y'all, it's me at Authentic Fee, and this is a podcast / vlog on life lessons 60, 61, and 77 from 140 life lessons I wish I knew at 20, aka FSB 140, on figuring out what the heck to do with yourself post-graduation. We're doing a combo this month. Lesson 60 is on working post-graduation, lesson 61 is on taking a gap year, and lesson 77 is on doing an internship. I can't think of any other better person to have this conversation with than my guest today, Hera Zee, my colleague bestie from UMass. Oh my God, girl, the stories that are fixing to come out. Y'all, this girl and I figured out our journeys alongside each other together over the last 20 plus years and still going strong and have been loud, knock on wood. And she also taught me how to cuss. We'll save that story. I love you, Hera. I'm so grateful that you're here, or that I'm here. Yeah. And I'm so happy that you're on Authentic Fee's platform to share your experience along your sinuous life journey that you just embraced and leaned into. And thank you for being here. And so with that, I'm just going to jump right into the first.
Sinuous is a big word.
It's just a fancy word for yes, that's all it means. That's all it means. It's a good one. Okay, so let's get right down to the nitty gritty, shall we say. So you've had an interesting journey, full of twists and turns. We both have, but because you're my guest, we're going to start with you. Or I'm your guest, so we can start with each other. In terms of twists and turns that led you to where you are now, as you know, mashallah, you're basically a social media marketing guru. But before we kind of get into those details and how you landed there, give us a touch of kind of context around your background, just like the high points.
The high points of my background. UMass was pivotal.
Oh, 100%. We're going to get to UMass in just a hot second. But in terms of where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to high school?
Dirty Jersey.
Dirty Jersey. That's yours for, it's not mine.
Dirty Jersey. We're in New Jersey right now. So I'm from New Jersey, grew up here, and I think, if we want to talk high points and what kind of led me to this a little bit.
Well, yeah, we'll get to what led you to that. I just kind of want some color on your background in terms of where you're from, where you grew up, your kind of high school experience, and then we'll get into kind of where you went to high school, what you did post high school, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so high school was that was rough. And when I was thinking about this, actually, I did not fit in high school at all.
Girl, preach.
But you know what I did instead? I was a bully.
You're kidding.
I was so mean.
I don't believe you.
I was mean. I was angry because I was angry.
Yeah.
I was mean. I was angry. I was rude. I was defiant. Yeah.
And it's like 180. Yeah.
180. Yeah. Completely different. And it's funny because people now, especially being in the online world, so much of, not a lot of my life actually is on, but I'm in it a lot.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people from my high school that we reconnect, and they're like, you're just so different.
Yeah.
So high school, I think because I didn't fit in, and again, you have anger issues from wherever they come from, maybe family stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's everybody.
High school is awkward for everybody, and everyone deals with it in a different way, compounded by what the heck you're dealing with at home. Not you, just everybody's dealing with at home. I didn't fit in high school at all, but I had a pretty decent high school experience, just given the circumstances, but I just never fit in, so I get that.
And I think I was rebellious, and as we were talking so much about UMass in college, the first time that I applied to UMass, I got rejected.
Oh, you're kidding. Okay, so we're fixing to jump right into UMass.
And it was embarrassing, so I lied. And I told people that I was going to the University of Hawaii. I lied. Like, who lies? Because I was so ashamed and so embarrassed.
Okay, so first of all, time out. University of Hawaii,
because it was cool. It sounded really cool. I think it made me feel better to be like, Bish, you got rejected, so you have to make yourself feel, so I'm going to Hawaii. It was cool. Nobody was going to Hawaii, so in the newspaper where it's everybody's getting accepted, where are you going? I put Hawaii Pacific University.
Okay, so wait. So you had to kind of announce post high school where you were going.
In high school.
In high school, everybody had to say where they were going, and you got rejected from UMass, which is kind of like.
Very sad.
UMass, PS, is University of Massachusetts, and it still is. It's a great state school.
Amazing school.
It's an amazing school. It's a great state school in New England, and it is kind of the go-to place, I would say. Maybe I'm being biased, but for a lot of the
that surrounding area,
northeast U.S., a lot of folks try to go there.
Well, because it's gorgeous too.
It's a beautiful campus. So we were on the flagship campus, University of Massachusetts Amherst.
Yes.
So I want to go back to what you were just saying about kind of being embarrassed, basically. It's not necessarily the lie. It's more about like feeling the pressure, and that's a very tangible. That is a very tangible feeling that a lot of kids go through.
Yeah.
I'm 42, so I can't speak for kids, countrywide, but that's a tangible feeling that a lot of kids go through after high school graduation, because you're just like, well, everybody seems like they know what the heck they're doing, and the reality is most folks don't.
Knows. Well, most.
So I got to jump in here for a hot second. So after high school, and I got my Chargers, Oxford High School, is where I went.
You're wearing the same necklace too.
Yeah, we are wearing the same necklace.
Did that on purpose?
Because we're college besties. But I remember after high school, I really had no idea what I wanted to study, what I wanted to do. And I just felt like everybody else knew what they wanted to study, where they wanted to go. Everybody went to the University of Mississippi, which is a great school. I mean, my hometown, Oxford, University of Mississippi is a great school. I wanted to try to experience something different. But I just felt that pressure of like, okay, everybody's doing college. So that, and it's a blessing to go to college. It may or may not be for every single person. I mean, I certainly struggled. But I hear you loud and clear on that, feeling that pressure and feeling like you have to come up with some kind of narrative, basically. Which you concocted a narrative. That's a diplomatic way of saying concocting a narrative. But basically you're like, I
lied. I concocted a narrative.
I'm going to teach you PR.
Okay, I like that.
I concocted a narrative. UMass. Can we talk about UMass for a hot second?
Yes.
So you and I both had a sinuous path to UMass. Talk to me about how you got to UMass.
It was like a mission. It was a mission.
So when you got rejected, you were like, okay, no, I'm going to this school.
At 5,000%. So when I got rejected and I got accepted to other colleges, I thank God for this, because there was something in my brain that said, that school accepted me, but the school that I wanted, right? So here was the visual of it. That school accepted me, but the school that I wanted did not.
Yeah.
So this school is not enough, I'm going there.
Yeah.
And I went to community college because I refused to go anywhere else. I wanted UMass.
So you had applied to other universities.
And got accepted.
Gotten accepted, and were like, nope, that's not where I want to go. I'm going to go do my coursework, my main coursework at a community college, and then keep applying to University of Massachusetts until I get accepted.
Yes.
And try to transfer in.
And I would go for 2 years, and then I would apply. And the first thing I said to my mother was, I'm staying home, you're not going to give me a curfew.
Okay.
But that was the most important.
How did that, okay, so that's the balance that you struck at home.
Yes.
Okay.
She had nothing to do. She was happy about it. But, so I went to community college for 2 years, and I was made for college. Like, my dad is very scholarly, actually.
He's a professor. He was a professor
He has like 3 master's degrees and stuff. So for me, it's funny because college was not an option. It was what's after high school.
It was the path.
And then you probably get your master's after college, and that alone is like a privilege.
Oh my God, grad school changed my life. Okay, but we're gonna get to grad school in a hot second. So I want to go back.
Community college.
I want to go back a second to community college. So UMass for me was UMass. Getting accepted into UMass changed my life.
Same.
Changed my life trajectory. Changed my life experiences.
Same.
Changed my network. Changed everything. I was always grateful for having grown up in the South and in Oxford in particular, just because of the community and because I grew up with the same cohort, and that's like growing up with the same folks. That's a blessing. But by the time high school came around, I was kind of ready to experience something different. I went to another state school in Mississippi, and my freshman year, had no idea what I wanted to do, and I didn't get how everybody else, I felt like everybody else just was kind of marching along, like they knew what they were doing, and I felt like the odd woman out, not knowing what to do, and so I flunked my freshman year of college. I mean, like, buckshot, like 0.03, I think I got. I mean, I flunked. Because I didn't go to class. That's why lesson number, I don't know, one of the lessons in the lesson.
Go to class?
You gotta go, you don't have to know what you want to do at 18, but you gotta show up to class. And I was too embarrassed to go undecided, and which normally is what you totally should do. Like, if you don't know what you want to study, which is totally fine, just do general ed coursework, right? But I just didn't know what to do, and so I flunked out and was like, maybe college is not for me. Yeah. And so that summer, I was thinking about different options, and August was coming up, and so I winded up just enrolling also in community college in Mississippi. I was away from home, but I went to community college for 2 years, and I had to pull up that buckshot, basically, because you can't just get rid of that.
Oh,
you can't
true.
Get rid.
That's true.
I was on academic suspension. So I applied to the University of Massachusetts, and I was like, it was a stretch. I didn't think I would get in, and it was a total grace of God that I got in. I was really honest about flunking and figuring out what I wanted to do, and then I knew what I wanted to study, and so they accepted me, and that's how I got there.
Wow.
Yeah. So very similar path.
It was my mission to go there.
It was like a wish for me.
Yeah.
It was a wish that I wasn't sure if it was going to come true or not.
Wow. The whole time that I was in community college, I remember going to the advisors or something, and saying, will this class transfer to UMass? Will this class? So I finished, and some people were doing, I guess you get your AA too if you do. I think I got my AA because your
associate's degree.
Yeah.
So I didn't confer. I straight, because I knew because even while I was in community college, and I was doing general coursework, I never specialized.
Same.
Gen Ed. I didn't know if I wanted to continue. It wasn't until the second year of community college that I was like, okay, I want to continue on and do a full university degree. And what I appreciated about myself and my family and my network is that they gave me that space, that especially having flunked out of my freshman year, to just say, just do what you think feels. And what not necessarily just feels good, but feels right for you, basically. Because, coming from a background of folks with like engineering and IT, and that wasn't me. And so I had to figure out what was me. And community college gave me that space to do it.
This is smart. I tell my stepkids, go to community college and figure it out.
Yeah.
Feel it out.
Yes.
And find out if it's for you.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that still applies to like a lot of stuff in life, even in our 40s.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. So UMass. So we both get there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you tell the story because I have spoken a whole bunch. So you tell the story.
I guess my mom drove me up, and we found out that we were not going to have dorm rooms. Like, we were not going to have a place to be. They put us in overflow housing.
Oh my gosh.
Which was a motel.
You know why? Because that year, so P.S., my hometown at the time had like 15,000 residents, minus like the university, I think, or maybe a little bit less. And campus had like, at that time, had 26,000 kids, just campus. And the year that you and I went, which was 2000, the fall of 2000 going in, was the year that they had accepted the most students. Yes. If my memory serves me correctly.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, probably.
And so we got stuck in overflow housing, which was
a motel. It was a motel. So take a 20-year-old and put them in a motel, like a hotel, motel,
it was right next to campus.
It was right next to campus.
It wasn't like on route, whatever the route that you take.
Whatever route it is.
Yeah, it wasn't off. And we were next to campus.
Yeah, and we were talking about it today that I struggled. Like, we struggled in the beginning with that. Just being.
It was tough. So you were away from Jersey, which I'm sure it wasn't your first time, but I was away from the South, and it was my first time kind of heading up north. Those first 2 weeks, I was just kind of like the first couple of days I was like, maybe this is not for me. But what helped me, and I mean this sincerely, was the fact that you and I that's how you and I met.
Yes.
So, and I got to stop here for a second and just say, like, whatever happens to you along life's path, if something happens that's really challenging and you're like, why me? There's a silver lining and a blessing to it, because had we not been in overflow housing together, and we were our rooms were right next to each other, because I remember we even opened the door. Yeah. I don't know that you and I would have connected, because we both ended up in Southwest, which was one of the larger, really concentrated.
You were in a different building.
I was in a different building, and I just don't know that our paths would have crossed, and even if they had, I don't know if we would have had the chance to really get to know each other in such a concentrated amount of time.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was the kicker, was that we were thrown literally into this situation where we could get to know each other, and even what we were talking about today, like the similarities that we have are mind-blowing.
Yes.
Parallels.
A lot of parallels, a lot of similarities, but not on the surface.
Right.
Not conspicuously.
Right.
Like, I don't know that anybody would put us together and be like, oh, these two, you know what I mean? But when you get to know our personalities, our values, that we're totally aligned.
Yeah.
So I remember when I used to have a two-door Ford. My two-door Ford Escort.
Yeah, I remember it vividly. Vividly and very colorfully. I remember.
So I pulled up, and I was like, I need to unload my car, and you were coming in and out. Your bedroom door was open, and you were coming in and out,
moving my clothes.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so there, and I didn't know a soul. I was like, God's gonna take care of me. The universe is gonna take me. I didn't know a soul. And so you were coming in and out, and I had my sunglasses on, and I was like super tan because I was like a nanny that summer. And I was like, thick, just coming from the South, thick Southern accent, really super
Hey,
thick.
y'all!
And I was like, hey, y'all! I was like, I'm gonna try to meet this girl. Like, I'm gonna try to make a friend.
And I'm like, there's Southerners here. Okay. All right. Out-of-state experience.
And I was like, oh, this girl's got Jersey plates. I've never met anybody from Jersey. And I was like, I got Mississippi plates. I wonder if she's going.
I thought it was cool.
It was so funny.
And that's cool.
And I just remember you had on these like hip hugger jeans,
probably,
and that showed your midriff, and I was like, hi, and you were in your back seat, like
everything,
trying to get stuff out, and you just stopped. You pulled up your hip huggers, and you were like, not for nothing, yo, where are you from?
So rough around the edges, she was. And that's what you taught me. It's not Mississippi. It's Mississippi.
Yeah, you gotta consolidate. You gotta consolidate syllables.
Yes. See, education.
And then you were like, yeah, yo, but where you from? And I was like, I'm Arab. It was so funny.
So funny.
Oh my god. It was hilarious. Lots and lots and lots of memories. Okay, so while we were at UMass, how did you figure out what you wanted to study?
I think because of the 2 years of exploring. Yeah. And I didn't insert this into the narrative here, not concocting a narrative. I'm actually retelling the narrative. I want psychology. I was very into psychology. Mm-hmm. And because my teachers in high school really sucked in the sense of understanding an adolescent, or maybe they didn't suck and maybe it was me. I wanted to be a teacher. And I remember taking all the gen ed classes, and somehow, I don't know how it switched, but I went to UMass and I declared a communications major. And within the first semester...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you want to know why?
Why?
Because I wanted to be like the female version of David Letterman, and I wanted to be a talk show host.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I declared...
I'm not going to ask why David Letterman was your benchmark.
I don't. Not only because he was the only one I knew that was behind a desk, cup of God knows what he had in there, and just interviewing really cool people. Yeah. So I did the communications major, and I hated it. So I switched to, I don't remember, maybe eventually it was like Hispanic linguistics, because somebody had told me, I babysat as well. Yeah. And said, you love Spain, you lived in Spain, which I didn't even bring that up as a high point. Yeah. That was a big one.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
And just be a teacher.
So did you study for undergrad education or Spanish?
Gen Ed. I took Gen Ed courses that would transfer.
Okay, so you went into UMass, you transferred your your community college courses in, and when you got to UMass, we had to declare a major our junior year. What did you declare?
Communications.
Communications.
And
you
I
took
switched.
that. You took that for a semester.
Yeah, and I hated it.
And you were like, "This is not for me."
It was terrible.
And you pivoted.
Super.
That is such an important message because I think again, the experience of this is what I want to do, and then for me, there have been times where I was like, this is what I want to do, and then I realized actually just because I'm the kind of person I gotta like really explore it, like swim in it. I gotta get up in
deep,
there, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Just kidding. This is not for me. And what I love about myself is that I have stopped. I've learned to stop being afraid to pivot and be like, okay, you know what? This is not really for me. And I don't know that a lot of people have that. Part of that is maybe pressure, whatever it is, but. It sounds like you just were like, comms is not for me. Yeah, and so then you were like Spanish.
And then because I wanted to be a teacher, they said, well, you have to declare a major in the subject you want to teach. So then all of a sudden I found myself I had to declare a Hispanic linguistics major, which is not what I do now.
Hispanic linguistics, not Spanish.
Hispanic linguistics. Okay. Like I can break down. I love languages.
Yes.
Hispanic linguistics.
Okay.
Like I had to break down languages. I had to translate things in Latin. Like dissect language.
Yeah.
Which it's me.
Yeah.
It's very me.
Yeah, it's different than just learning the language as a major.
Yeah, and then through that, you had to take the core courses of what you wanted to teach, and you also had to do an internship.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get to the internship, but first I want to talk about...
I did do an internship.
So, what was that, your senior year?
I don't remember when it was. I'll think about it.
Okay.
But I did a teaching internship, essentially.
While we were at UMass?
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to back up. When you landed on, community college, general ed, then you transferred into UMass. Comms as a declarative major. Just kidding. Hashtag I'm gonna pivot.
Yeah.
So then you went to Hispanic linguistics. Did that for how long? But at some point you went and studied abroad.
Yeah.
In Spain.
Several times.
While we were at UMass.
Before I went to UMass, my sophomore year of community college.
You're kidding.
Which I was the youngest one there.
You were hanging out mostly with the locals.
Yeah, because once again, it's like, don't really fit here.
Yeah.
And that was a common thread. I remember you and I having this discussion too about like, where do I belong?
Oh yeah, where do I fit?
What is my identity?
Yes. Girl, that's another, that's a whole other therapy session plus a podcast plus the Prozac plus something else.
Yeah,
but so you studied Hispanic before you got to UMass. You did the study abroad and in Spain, and then realized that this is kind of a culture and a language that that sits well and right with you, something that you wanted to explore even more. So when you came back to UMass, ditched comms, went to Hispanic linguistics
to be a teacher.
If I'm not mistaken, you went back to Spain and did a study abroad program in Spain while we were at UMass.
I went back to Spain. Well, you're going to tell me to pause with this, but I went back to Spain because of September 11th. Because I was done. I was like, I'm leaving out of this country. And it was also kind of like my gap year.
Wait, so I
did Spain twice.
You did Spain twice. Once in community college.
As a sophomore.
And then after we
Actually, I did Spain 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Community college,
sophomore.
Yeah.
Gap year.
And then gap year after we graduated. I'm going to come to that in a hot second.
Then grad school. After I graduated grad school, or maybe it was my last semester, UMass sent me over there to work.
During grad school? And that was your internship?
No.
That was a separate?
Yes, that was a job.
But
I guess a teacher.
The takeaway here is that while you're at community college, studying in Spain.
Yes.
That experience left an imprint on you.
Oh, yeah.
That impacted basically the rest of your trajectory for the foreseeable future. Granted, since then you've pivoted. You still speak Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
But you've pivoted.
Many times.
Yeah, but that impacted for a good, 5 years at least?
Spain is my third home.
Yeah.
If not my second.
Okay. Yeah. So the study abroad led into the gap year. Okay, on the contrary, let's talk about the gap year. So our senior year, and for me this is more about when whatever you plan, life is going to happen and you're going to have to stuff happens and life is going to throw you curveballs and you're just going to have to keep going in whatever path is most comfortable.
Yeah.
So we were roommates our senior year.
Yeah.
And it was September of 2011. I remember this very distinctly.
Very clear that day.
Very clear. It was a beautiful morning.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful morning, and we got up, and you, because you're intuitive, thought that you were like, today's like is there a holiday? And I was like, Hera, we gotta go to class, girl. You better. And I had astronomy class.
Yeah.
And
that was a good class.
That was a good class. And I had to book it all the way across campus. And I got dressed, and we left together, even though we separated after we went through the tunnel. Anyway, long story short, it ended up being September 9/11, 2001. And, at that point, speaking of identities, I was just coming into kind of my Arab identity. And kind of embracing my Muslim identity, and everybody on campus thought I was Puerto Rican, and I didn't care because I was just kind of like, I'm still kind of figuring this out. Even linguistically, I was taking Arabic, so that was and I got I think I got a B in Arabic or a C in Arabic or a BC because they did B A.
Yeah, they did. Oh wow.
Because my grammar, I could never figure out the vowels. I still can't figure out the vowels. P.S. But anyway, I remember that was our first semester of our senior year. And so we had already, for me, I had already flunked out my freshman year, gone to community college for 2 years. So my collegiate experience was like, oh my God. And finally pulled myself together, figured out what the F I want to do, which was sociology, which I found fascinating, even though everybody's like, what the hell are you going to do with sociology degree? I was like, you know what, I don't care right this second. This is what I enjoy, this is what I'm doing. I wound up building a 2-decade career on doing socioeconomic development in sociology. And then we had 9/11 our senior year, and everybody that was close to me was like, pack your bags and come home because it's going to be hard. You're going to be the target of backlash. And I was like, first of all, I don't even know that I wasn't hiding that I'm Arab, or Muslim. I just did. Everybody thought I was Puerto Rican, so most folks left me alone until I stood up in class and was like, I just want to say that this doesn't represent Arabs, this doesn't represent Muslims, and then the cat was that. But it freaked us both out.
Yeah. That was an intense moment, and that also changed. I'm sure for many people, changed a lot.
Yeah, of course.
And that was how I decided to go to Spain. Afterwards, it was like, maybe I should just explore living in another country or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, it changed a lot for a lot of people. And God rest the souls of everybody who passed away, and God bless everybody that was impacted by it. So, 9/11, we got through it. We got through it together.
Yes, we did.
You were a great support system for me. I'll never forget it. Thank you. And your mom was really good to me. I'll never forget that either. We winded up getting through the year. Campus shut down for a little bit, and then everything, kind of whatever normal is, but got back up and running.
I think I drank a lot that year.
I
don't remember you drinking very much.
I don't think I drank too much my senior year. I think I was just kind of like, okay, because with the American college experience, you gotta you got 4 years to get it together and get out. 5 max. After 5, masaktiha. In Arabic, I don't even know how to translate that, but basically
enough is enough.
Yeah, you need khalas. You need to pull it together, get out. So I think I had my head down because I had gotten accepted into the honors college. I wanted to graduate with a thesis, and I wanted to graduate with honors to prove a point because I had flunked, and so I just had my head down doing the work basically. But so we got through our senior year. So after our senior year, you were like, because of 9/11, you were like, I need to get out of the U.S. for a hot second. I want to go explore something. Yeah. And so you went to Spain. And how was that? It was
it was free. It was amazing, and I don't know. I can't think of why I went back other than it was my initial reaction to escape, and maybe it would help my Spanish even more or something. But going there, I went on my own accord. And I told you, I wrote a contract with myself.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
That was like, life is about living and experiences, and I'm going to do this for 1 year, and then I'm going to come back. And I'm going to focus on me for 1 year. And I'm going to horseback ride and learn this and learn that. I ended up going to Spain. It was amazing. While I was there, too, I remember saying, really, I don't see a lucrative future. So I was applying to grad school while I was there.
Got it.
And doing the interviews there and everything. And over there I was bartending. I was living with Spanish people. So again, I signed up for classes just so I could get a visa. But I would never go to the classes. I'm breaking one of the life lessons. Because my class was who I was living with. And I would go to these classes and be with people from China and Russia and listen to their terrible Spanish accents. And it was not worth it. I wasn't learning Spanish. So I would hang out with my friends instead who were from the country. Because that's another story, how I ended up living with actual Spaniards. But that was how I learned to speak fluently and not sound like I'm not from there.
Right. And plus you look. I'm convinced that you were Arab in a previous life and that you were just called back to the Iberian Peninsula and like connect with them.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
100%.
Remember when we would fall asleep at night, I would tell you too, can you speak in Arabic to me?
Yeah, and I would tell
and you would put me to sleep in Arabic.
Yes. With like the few grammatically correct sentences that I knew, but yes, 100%.
That's yeah.
So there's a couple things here that are really fascinating. What I love that you said, that first of all, Spain, going abroad and kind of figuring out what you enjoy doing, but I think the most important thing that you said was you gave yourself space, and that's what your 20s are for, P.S.
Yeah.
You gave yourself space to kind of explore what you were passionate about, and because it seemed like you fell in love with Spain,
travel.
Yes, travel, but in
culture
and language, you were like, you gave yourself some time and some space to explore that, which is totally fine. And I think one of the things that I never understood about kind of the linear education kind of expectancy. Thank you. Here is that you gotta, 18, you gotta know what you want to do, go study it, go work. If you want to go to grad school, go up in terms of like earning a potential, and then just like marriage, house, kids, and it's like, I just, the fact that you gave yourself some space to just explore, and the gap year concept, I wish I did a gap year in my 20s or 30s. I never did a gap year in my 20s or 30s. I mean, I think the closest thing I did to it was like in the last 3 months taking a gap year and focusing on the creative stuff that I really want to get out. But doing it in your 20s or 30s, I think, 20s especially, that's what it's for. And I find it to be a very European concept to do a gap year post high school, where you just like strap on a backpack and go check out, the neighboring countries. And I think it's great that you did that, even though, granted, the catalyst was harsh and detrimental and horrible. But it was good that you kind of transmuted a growth experience for yourself.
I think you're just making me think too that really from a very young age, I think I've always looked at life, and there's hard moments, and there's moments where I think I lose it a little bit and I get caught up in the grinds. But even now, like, I've always said this world is my playground. It allowed me to explore myself.
Okay, yeah.
Which was interesting.
This is post undergrad graduation.
Yeah, post senior year.
Okay.
So after senior year, I guess I left in August of 2002? No.
It would be 2002.
Was it? It was.
Yeah, we graduated in May 2002.
Yeah, August of 2002, I went to Spain, got hooked up with living with people on a military base, of all things.
Random!
Super random.
Love you.
Super random. And it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Because I was so protected and like taken care of. It was amazing. And while I was there, I do remember, what was I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
And if I worked there, would I have enough money to go back and see my parents and my friends? And it's like...
So for a hot second, it sounds like you were contemplating just sticking around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you were like,
this is not for me.
How long were you in Spain?
A year.
Wow, you stayed in, so you took a gap year.
Yes.
So, just really quickly, recap. High school, didn't get accepted to UMass, went to a small community college in New Jersey.
Yes.
Pulled up, basically did the general coursework, decided to keep applying to UMass, got accepted to UMass, went to UMass.
No.
Okay, you were in Spain.
Spain sophomore year.
Spain sophomore year, which impacted what you winded up pivoting to at UMass.
Yes.
Yeah. So then when you went to UMass, started in comms, were like, this is not for me, kind of thought to yourself, what was I interested in? Trigger, Spain.
Yes.
Hispanic linguistics.
Yes.
At UMass as a major. And then after we graduated, just given what happened with 9/11 and wanting to experience something different, it sounds like you went abroad and stayed abroad for a year.
Yes.
And then...
My ego wants to say that I did not continuously apply to UMass.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
In community college, it was the mission. I knew 2 years here, get my grades up, and I'm going to UMass.
So you didn't keep applying?
No.
Okay, so sorry, that was my
mistake.
You thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
So you didn't keep applying. You were just like
2 years here,
yeah.
UMass.
So that's what happens
Yeah.
in community college. You take do your 2 years of coursework and then. Okay.
Yeah, so I knew.
Okay.
And then, where did we leave off? Came back to grad school.
Right. Okay. So came back to grad school. So after you went through community college, UMass, Spain.
Mm-hmm.
While you were in Spain, decided to go back to grad
school.
And
in UMass.
So you went back to UMass.
Yeah, went back to UMass as grad school, and at the time, it was to get your master's in Master's of Arts in Teaching Hispanic Linguistics.
Okay.
And because it was kind of like a dual major, you were supposed to be there for 4 years, and God is so good in so many ways.
Amen. Preach!
That this professor came in and he switched up the whole. He was like, "This 4 years is absurd.
Yeah.
We're switching it."
It is absurd. That's in Europe, that's a PhD.
That's a PhD, and he was from Spain,
Oh.
so that's probably why. I still talk to him this day.
That's fantastic.
Many of my professors, they're very incredible people. UMass was amazing.
It was
It was a vortex.
It really was a vortex
Yeah.
because every single person that I built a long-lasting relationship with there, I'm still in touch with and has helped me somehow throughout my career trajectory.
Yeah.
100%.
Just in life.
In life, yeah, not just
in life.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So he switched that up, and that was really the beginning of. I mean, we had to build our portfolios on websites, so I got my taste of building a first website.
So what year was this?
This was 2003.
Still before websites were like, Squarespace, before it was super easy to do websites. Yeah, so you were like at the forefront.
And I thank God for him because he came in and he was so progressive and like, this is what we're doing. And he gave me a lot of opportunities. So if we fast forward to all of the things that I learned in grad school, which, remember, I came back because there was opportunity and money here. And I actually got grad school because I was a TA and I taught Spanish at UMass. I got paid to get my grad degree. Hello.
That's
okay.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
Yes.
So because you're wicked smart. I gotta put the wicked in there.
I like to think that I was given the brains.
Yeah, you're wicked smart.
I was given the brains.
So you got basically a scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was also why I went to UMass because now I applied to Georgetown and they didn't give it to me.
Yeah.
But UMass, so I got accepted, but then UMass gave it to me for free. But they paid me to get my
So you
my
got
master's.
accepted to Georgetown and UMass.
Yeah, but there was no money at Georgetown.
Got it.
Yeah. So
Girl, go ahead.
Yeah. So I did UMass.
For the same Hispanic linguistics.
It was a very different program.
But
similar.
Yeah, in terms of like linguistics.
If I recall.
Yeah.
No, I think Georgetown was just linguistics, maybe? I can't remember, a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And UMass was the path to be a teacher.
Yeah. Which is what you wanted to do.
Which is what I wanted to do.
How did you figure that out? That's what I want to know, which is actually perfect.
People that I babysat for said...
Where? In Spain?
In New Jersey when I was younger.
When you were younger, okay.
I babysat for this family very close. So again, similar stories.
Yeah.
And she said, I called her up one day, something about, I don't remember what it was, but she said, why don't you be a Spanish teacher?
Wow.
You love kids. You love the language. You love to travel. Do that. And it just clicked. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. Because I was probably stressed over the comm stuff.
Yeah.
And when I switched to do that, which it was stressful to do that in undergrad, but grad school, that was what set me up to grad school, was saying, okay, I'm going to get the teaching degree and teach Spanish, because again, it was, I can work until 3 p.m. every day, have summers off.
The summers off is a huge draw.
And
obviously impact lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the kids. That's all I liked about teaching, was giving the kids the things that I didn't have when I was in high school.
Yes, I get that 100%.
And there are some of my students, because I did end up teaching in a high school down in Florida, some of my students still to this day I still talk to.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
But going to, where was it? So it was coming back from Spain, coming back here, because to be a teacher, I knew I'd have the summers off, I would build my own business, and I wanted to have a school. I wanted to have a language immersion school.
A language immersion school?
Yeah, in the United States.
Yeah. What is a language immersion
So
school?
immerse yourself in a language the way I learned.
Okay, got it.
I learned immersed in Spanish culture.
Because when you were there, when you were in Spain, you didn't really hang out with the other international. You hung out with the locals.
With locals. So my thought process was, let me open up my own school here, because I love to have my own shit. I love to call the shots.
Yeah. That's why we roll together.
Right, but of course, again, in service, because if I have an idea and I want to create something for someone or give something to someone, please don't tell me I can't.
Yeah.
And that happened when I was a teacher in high school. I wanted to take these kids to Costa Rica, and they were like, oh, liability, and it's like, but.
Yeah, and so it was, you want to give them an experience. Yeah, to explore.
Yeah, so I really don't like, and I never have. I can even think since I was 15. I don't like being told I can't do something.
Girl, the second somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, pause, watch. I'll be right back.
And I'm gonna take pictures.
I'm gonna take pictures.
And we're gonna post it on Instagram.
And I'm gonna post it on Instagram so you can see me do what you said I can't do.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah. So that was why I wanted to have my own business, and I always thought it would be a school.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed the kids, and that was the woman I babysat for. She said, "You're so good with kids."
Mashallah, yeah, you are.
Because they need us.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to back up to two things that you talked about.
Yes.
So you very quickly skimmed over this, and it's actually very crucial.
Yeah.
Odd and end jobs. I can't tell you how odd and end jobs impacted my trajectory. Even at times when I didn't think that that's what that I'm past a certain point. So I remember in college I waited tables. And I cleaned houses for a while I was in college. I was basically a maid. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was doing both, what I remembered about being a waitress, aside from just like in the cash, like immediate cash, was it taught me that I really like public interfacing. Yeah. And it taught me that I enjoy doing public service, like that you're serving. All of us are servants, P.S. Mm-hmm. in one form or another. But I enjoyed those two things. And then when I was cleaning houses, I realized that I was really good at organizing chaos, basically, or organizing other people's messes. Mm-hmm. And I could do it in a way where I didn't disrupt their environment, but still kind of transformed it. Because when somebody comes in to clean your house, you got to kind of clean a little bit. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, then they move all your stuff around and then it gets chaotic.
I did that before you got here.
Yeah. It's like,
I cleaned for you.
Don't mess with my chi. Don't mess with my stuff. Anyway, so what are some, in undergrad, going back for a hot second, or even grad school, what were some odd nicks? So you TA'd, which is kind of like that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But what are some odd and end stuff that you did that made you say, in retrospect, maybe not right then, but in hindsight, that you picked up a skill set that you have from that experience?
In undergrad UMass, I worked in all of the, because I like feeling productive.
Yeah, of course.
In a sense that what I'm doing now is contributing to some area of my life in some way. Yeah. So to be brutally honest, because anything else is just bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
When I was in undergrad, I worked in the food courts.
Yeah.
For money and also free food.
Yeah, of course.
And I used to get a kick.
Food is the biggest expense.
The biggest thing. Yeah. And I would get a kick that to spend on groceries I think it was $20 a week if I had to go to the grocery store because everything else I got from the food court.
Yeah. Oh my God, girl. You hooked yourself up.
I super hooked myself up.
Oh my God.
That's the way to do it.
100%.
So I did that. I can't say I realized anything.
How all the odd and end jobs taught you something different, and also we're just really cost effective in terms of like getting you access to food.
Anything I do has to have a perk.
Perks. I'm all for perks. But that you actually went and waited tables after graduate school, and that's a key point, because I think folks think, me too, by the way, like I didn't necessarily wait tables, but you think, okay, I got my master's, then okay, it's going to be like a corporate corner office, and it's like, no, you still got to hustle. The economy, there could be a downturn. There's a pandemic, like stuff happens.
Applying for jobs was a full-time job.
Applying for jobs is a full-time job, and while you're waiting to hear back, you gotta do something to earn money. I went into a temp pool, and so I had to wait basically by the phone. And one day they would call me and be like, "Come," and the next day they would.
I did that too.
Yeah, and that's how I got my first permanent corporate job.
Yeah,
was doing temping first, to going into a temp pool and then get in place. But to your point about grad school and then waiting tables, what was that like?
Terrible.
Your ego. It's your ego.
You want to hear? I'll tell you, because I remember it clear as day. And I'm sitting there and I'm polishing silverware before we opened up. And all I could sit there is holding the fork and the knife and polishing it. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I have a master's. This is bullshit. I was pissed.
Fair. I think that's
But
fair.
I came back in the middle of the year from Granada, which was the third time I went to Spain.
Yeah.
Now working as a study abroad director. And it was totally worth it. But I came back in the middle of the year, so there's no teaching jobs in the middle of the year. You gotta wait.
Yeah.
And then you know what happened? This is why I went into the temp pool. Somewhere in between, so it
temp
was
pool sub?
Temp pool, no.
Okay.
To make
Just
money
anything.
until the next school year.
Yeah.
So I guess it was January, and I got into a car accident.
I remember this.
The most terrible car accident ever.
This.
Thank God I'm alive.
Alhamdulillah.
And I was wiped. I had nothing. I was in physical therapy for 4 months.
I remember
living
that.
with my mother because I had no job, just came back from Spain, my master's, I had nothing.
Yeah. And then, and while you were looking to kind of like get yourself started,
Just want to go to a temp agency.
You had a life altering experience in terms of having a car accident, which for all intents and purposes sets you back.
Yeah.
And then, how did you recover?
Well, and that's the crazy part too, is I got a job in the middle of the year, and then I got into the car accident and had to turn it down.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
and then recovering was temp agency, physical therapy, and then I just kept applying. And it ended up turning out better than it should have, of course, because I ended up at the school that was perfect for me.
So that's kind of the blessing there, is that because I really believe, as cheesy as it sounds, that the universe always has your back.
Yeah.
Even when harsh things happen, and harsh things happen to everybody. And so you wouldn't have ended up where you ended up had all of those, I don't want to call them mishaps, but those occurrences those blips didn't happen as they happened.
If UMass accepted me the first time, I would have never met you.
We would have never met. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I would have never met you.
If I hadn't flunked out of my freshman year of college, we would have never met.
Sometimes I like to think, oh no, God would find a way, but we don't know.
Yeah, of course.
But working at that school, it was in South Florida, and it was amazing. It was another stepping stone, and it was great. It was really great. But I think the biggest takeaway from any job I've had, whether it be a career as a teacher, waitress, working in a flea market, working in the food court, and coming home smelling like what is the grill smells like fried food.
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway that I learned was I don't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah, which brings us to where you are now.
Mm-hmm. Working for myself.
Working for yourself.
In PJs.
In PJs.
Yes.
But what are you doing? Because it's different from teaching. You're still teaching.
I'm still teaching.
But it's not in an education classroom to kids.
Yeah, the leap for me from teaching, so I was a teacher for close to 10 years, and I wanted to open up that school, but I just got real savvy with all of my background from the website. When I went to Granada, I was helping my friends. Time to focus. And that is the pivot that I've made just now, is even when you have your own business, now you're not working for somebody else, but now your business almost owns you, and your business can be this tyrant of a boss.
But but I gotta tell you, when you hustle for yourself, it's a totally different type of hustle.
Completely.
Yeah. Because you have that. Sorry to cut you. You have the control is not the word, but when you want to take a step back,
you can
take a step back.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you are cognizant, I want to say is the word. If you're aware of just like, whoa, I'm burning the candle at both ends here.
Exactly.
Pause.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've talked about that. Maybe that's our song, The Space Between. But
yes.
We've talked about giving yourself this space and creating this space is where sometimes the blessings can.
Oh, 100%. When you when you release the things that are not serving you, or for me, it's like I got really clear on my values very recently, and then started to calibrate everything in my life to align with those values, whether it was friendships, relationships, career, everything. But it took me until I was 42 to get there, you know, and that's part of it. I'm not done. I'm nowhere near done, but that's part of the journey. I mean, that's the whole. You said it earlier about exploring. So when you went to Spain, and when you went to grad school, and then when you went to teach, and then while you were teaching, and then in between with your odd jobs, and you know, and I hope I'm not coming across as if I'm like pointing at it, because I had a very similar. For me, I had the same value of I'm going to try to explore, especially after I flunked out of my freshman year. I was like, I need to explore because I know myself, and if I'm not passionate about what I'm engaged in, I'm not going to engage. Yeah. And if I don't engage, I'm not going to show up, and if I don't show up, I'm going to fail. Yeah. And so I love how that was kind of and then once you got what you're good at or what you're interested in, you were like, I'm going in this direction. And then you pulled all of your expertise from teaching and from.
Well, because that always goes with you.
It goes with you. And you use it, so there's no loss.
No.
There's no loss in experience. There's no right or wrong. It's just experience.
You keep painting. You keep painting the layers. So it's like if this didn't start, you know, as something, it was a blank canvas.
Yeah.
You had to put the background, and the layers, the layers, the layers. That's why I say we're not even done. There's going to be more.
100%. We're about to enter a new cycle. 100%. Both of us. All of us, actually, I think.
And I noticed, too, that somebody said to me when it was like, how do I move to the next? They said it's like a trapeze.
Yeah.
If you want to get to the other side.
That's powerful.
So it is, because there's the visual, and you realize if you want to get to the other one, you gotta let go.
You gotta let go. Ah!
Yeah.
Mesma!
So that helped me transition from teaching into online coaching.
Yeah.
And it was health coaching at the time because I was very passionate about it. My mom had cancer.
Yeah, I got it.
So I thought food is medicine. Food is medicine. So I became obsessed with healthy food to prevent disease.
Yeah.
And just knowing that I had that teacher in me, I said, I'm giving all of this inside these four walls to these very worthy beings, but I am being told that I cannot give everything I want to give them.
Yeah.
Which was the experience, the life lessons, which is so funny actually.
The 140
because they would always say it's life lesson day with Miss Z. It's life lesson day with Miss Z.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we would just stop when I was a high school Spanish teacher, and I would say, you guys, let's just, because I'm also a certified yoga instructor,
which
sinuous. I would say, you guys, it's been a rough week. I hear you guys are stressed because those kids in a very prestigious high school were very stressed out. Very stressed out.
There's so much pressure. To like score a certain amount on your ACT or your SAT and
get the credits now.
Yeah, and then do electives and get your applications ready for college so you get into the right. There's so much pressure to know. There's so much pressure to have this like predetermined path, and it's just like I gotta figure out if I even want to go to college. I gotta figure out and once I get there, what do I want to study? And you know, it may be very different than what people before you studied, especially in your family, or what they expect for you.
Hard. And the expectations are hard.
Outward expectations are hard, and I found myself a lot of times putting pressure on myself
all the time.
Yeah. I gotta ask you one last thing before we wrap. So in grad school, you did an internship.
Yeah.
And what was that?
You had to.
Okay, what was that and how did it impact?
I lucked out. I mean, it was great because it was more like an apprenticeship and a mentorship, that if you're going to be a teacher, you have to be a student teacher.
Okay.
And you have to learn under a teacher.
So that was your TA?
No.
Okay, separate.
That was, in a high school under the most phenomenal.
But while you were in grad school?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a whole semester was no classes. You go into school every day and you work as a teacher under this teacher. And it's weird the lessons that you remember, but she had said to me every week, they get that, I focus on what do I want them to achieve by the end of the week, and I build my lessons backwards. And that's how I run my business. That's how I set, I don't like to call them goals. I call them either targets or North Stars. So I put myself in a mode, Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
I put myself in a mode that's moving towards a destination or a target.
Yeah.
So she taught me that. Yeah, food is, we got food delivered. So
we're about to eat.
Food is here.
We're about to eat.
So I had to study under her for an entire semester, and I chose her.
Yeah.
And she was phenomenal. She was phenomenal. We just got along so well, and she taught me so much, and we had such a great relationship.
And what did you take with you from that internship?
The experience of how to, I guess, not work with children, but just what it was really like. And I guess, wow, I never really thought of this actually, but I wonder if that internship really gave me that, look at the big picture, this mode thing that I'm talking about. Because even now in my work, right, in marketing, the strategy is everything. And I'm not saying it to toot my own horn. Yeah, but I always took that with me.
So we were talking about what you got from your internship and how it helps you where you are now as a social media digital guru to kind of look at the big picture. I call you a guru because it comes so naturally to you. I don't think people who are naturally good at stuff, I don't think realize or discern those qualities in themselves. And so it takes friends, soulmates, to like be your mirror and be like, this is something that you're just naturally good at. And it's fascinating as somebody who's witnessed your journey, as you have witnessed mine, how all the things that you've done from UMass to Spain to grad school to teaching to yoga, Beachbody, everything, and the personal things that you went through, whether it was, God forbid, the car accident, personal things in your life, got you to where you are now, but not just got you here, but put you in the mind frame and mind, body, spirit to show up the way that you do, running your own business and teaching people how to market every single thing that they're offering to the world.
Yeah. And I think I'm finally coming to the realization also with your help and some of the conversations that we have that there's so much power in that.
Oh, 100%.
And because we don't recognize it and we potentially even deny it, remember the most recent thing I went through was if I'm too intense for people, I'm too much for people, and if I don't tone it down, they'll leave me.
Yes.
Is what it really equated to.
Yeah.
And translated to is the word.
Yeah.
It translated to my fear of, because I am too much, if I am too much, they'll leave me.
Or they'll
think I'm too much, or they'll say, and then literally just this year, at 40 and a half, in the past couple of months, I realized, I don't care.
I don't give a flying F.
I don't care.
I'm so glad you said this.
I don't care.
Because I finally, at 42, got to the point where I was like, I'm a Scorpio. I'm intense. When I show up, I'm either going to be in hermit mode or I'm going to show up. And when I show up, because I need hermit mode to replenish. That's all the Virgo in my chart. But when I show up, it's going to be full throttle. And either you love it or you don't.
Right.
And so my people love it. For everybody else, it's too much. And I get it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But a lot of that, like you, has been that place of self-acceptance that I finally got to.
Yeah.
If I were to have a destination on the journey, even though there's not really one, it would be that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Was retrospectively kind of reflecting on, man, because I used to be embarrassed that I flunked out of my freshman year of college. And I used to be embarrassed that I went to community college. And I used to be embarrassed that I waited tables and was a maid. And then when I really went through this time of healing and self-reflection, I realized that every single thing to dilute or dismiss any facet would be diluting or dismissing or rejecting me.
Mm-hmm.
And every single thing that I've been through, good, bad, ugly, and different, has sculpted me into the glorious, imperfect thing that I am now. And I'm so grateful that I have people in my life,
Mm-hmm.
like you, that reflect the same kind of value and just help me show up in that way. And I can't thank you enough, Hera Zee, for coming today and showing up despite our technical issues and sharing your story and showing up authentically and being yourself. I'm so grateful.
I love you.
I love you.
Oh, I love you, babe.
You made soulmate. Oh,
You're the best.
that's a wrap, people. After like 7 takes. Take 50.
Bye.